I love a good prank video. Filling someone's book bag with hot Cheetos, Post-it notes all over a car, jump out of a closet and scare the mess out of someone, I'm here for it all. But sometimes pranks can go too far. You know, the ones where they spray paint on other friends' cars just for laughs? Or they dump smelly fish tank water on someone's bed and ruin their sheets and mattress? Or when someone gets pushed into the pool unexpectedly with their brand new Jordans on, their phone in their pocket, and freshly done hairstyle? And sometimes the things that make us angry or make us hold a grudge towards someone are worse than just a bad prank. When you're young, it typically goes like this. Someone does something wrong. An adult says, "Say you're sorry." The other person says half-heartedly, "I'm sorry." And we all move on. As a kid, it can be really hard to quickly switch from being hurt to accepting an apology and forgiving the person who hurt you. But I would say it's just as hard, if not harder, to do that as we get older. You probably won't be surprised to hear that bitterness is not a new concept. It actually goes way back, like Bible times back. As long as there have been people, there has been bitterness. And the Bible actually addresses this very issue. About 2,000 years ago, the church was just getting started. And one of the main leaders of this early church was Paul. And at the time, Paul was a massive public figure in the Christian culture. But there was a catch. Being popular and liked by Christians meant that he was infamous and hated by people who weren't Christians. Meaning, because he was such a high-profile believer, he was also a big target for those people who were not fans of Jesus. What kind of target? Well, here are a few ways he suffered publicly serving Christ. He was put into prison over and over again. He was beaten. He was flogged, which means beaten with a whip or a bat. He was stoned, which means people literally picked up rocks and threw them at him trying to kill him. Yeah, this is the kind of fame that you don't typically want. And so here is a guy who is trying to help people, trying to do the right thing, trying to serve God, and how is he treated? Not so great. If anyone deserves to be bitter, it was this guy. But what Paul says about bitterness is actually the opposite of what we would personally expect him to say. In one of his letters to a church in Thessalonica, Paul encouraged the new Christians there and challenged them to do things that made them live differently than the world around them would think that they should behave. One verse in particular takes an interesting approach of the idea of bitterness and of unforgiveness. Maybe you're thinking, whoa, revenge is a strong word. I'm not into revenge. I'm not sitting in a dark room plotting to get back at whoever wronged me. But maybe Paul isn't just talking about revenge. He's talking about not continuing the cycle of wrong. Maybe paying back wrong for wrong could sound like he never apologized, so I can't forgive him. They don't deserve my forgiveness or my friendship after what they did to me. They didn't earn my forgiveness, or they haven't paid for what they did to me. She hurt me, so I'm gonna hurt her. She's canceled. Now, Paul has some legit reasons to be upset. His frustrations were even more frustrating than the salsa stain or FOMO. People were treating him badly just for how he was living his life for Jesus. Like, I would classify beatings for good behavior as overreacting. But even though Paul had suffered, and for an unfair reason, he didn't believe that his mistreatment required revenge. Instead, he writes this. So, hold up. Not only are we supposed to keep ourselves from paying someone back wrong for wrong, we're supposed to be nice to them as well? That doesn't exactly seem fair. And you know what? It isn't. And that's the thing. Jesus changes how we see everything, especially forgiveness. But Paul understood a fundamental truth about bitterness and holding on to hurt. And that truth is this: the more you hold on to a grudge, the more it holds on to you. If you're wondering if you're still holding on to some bitterness or resentment, here's a handy quiz to help you figure that out. Do you have arguments with someone in your head? Do you know those internal conversations where you basically tell them what's up? Are you giving a close friend or a family member the silent treatment? Do you constantly subtweet comments in person or online to someone? Do you leave passive-aggressive comments on someone's Instagram pics or screenshot them and send it to other friends with snarky comments? Do you think about ways that you can pay someone back for what they did to you 6 months ago? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you may be experiencing some bitterness in your life. But have you ever thought about this? Holding on to resentment and being bitter can be bad for you. Because here's the thing, you can technically be right and you can have the truth on your side, but it doesn't change the fact that you're stuck in negativity. And that negative place can take a toll on you. Let me show you what I mean. Now, I realize many of you are stuck in some real pain. Some of you have been hurt deeply by people you care about, and that makes things complicated. But your hurt is justified, and so is your anger. But I can promise you this, the only way you can find freedom from anger and resentment is to forgive that person, even if they don't deserve it, even if they're not sorry, maybe even especially if they're not sorry, because that forgiveness really means to give it before someone else is sorry or deserves anything. And I realize that's asking a lot. It won't happen overnight, but here are some steps, 3 specific steps that you can take to get freedom from bitterness and unforgiveness in your life. First, acknowledge your feelings. It's okay to be hurt, upset, angry, sad, or disappointed. Pretending like these feelings aren't there doesn't make them go away. Second step, don't let your feelings control you. You can give up on your right to get revenge even when your anger says, I deserve to get them back. You can work to let go of those feelings, your anger and frustration, instead of being held hostage by them. And finally, repeat. There's no overnight success to escaping bitterness. It's a process and it takes time. So keep taking one step and then taking it again and again. Hey, I get it. Forgiving someone feels like the other person is getting something from you, like they've taken something. But as you head out, think about it like this. What are you getting from holding on to your bitterness? If you could stop replaying that offense over and over in your mind, how much time would you get back? If you could let go of your need to be right, how much less stress would you feel? If you could let go of your need to make things fair, what else could you be doing? I know it sounds counterintuitive or unreasonable. I know it sounds unfair. And most of all, I know it may sound impossible. But even though this feels like giving up power on your end, letting go actually empowers you. It allows you to finally be released from the poisonous resentment that eats away at you and robs you of your joy every day in your life. And when we let go, and when we're kind to those who have mistreated us, we can take the first step from hurt towards healing. Because forgiving someone is the best thing you can do with the worst stuff that happens to you.